Okay, today we are doing a walkthrough. I would like to call it a walkthrough because the whole idea is to read together. I think you remember in the revision, I have reminded you that the more times you read the pre-scene, the more familiarized you can be with the information. Then when you go for the actual exam, it will be easier for you to recall the information. So I thought it's good that you can read a couple of times yourself, and then I read once with you. Okay. Now this thing will also be put up in the portal, so I guess some that didn't come today, you can go to the portal. Okay. Now, if you remember, one of those key things that we learn from the examiner's report is that many students attempt, and in fact I share with you that in the market there are actually lecturers that run a special revision class. Actually it's not even a revision, it's just a pre-scene class, and then they charge you by giving you example of questions that they're going to ask and example of answers that you can write. I know that the market has all that, and if you look at the examiner's report, examiner actually warned the student against trying to imagine answers using pre-scene, because one of the key weakness or the key danger of doing that is you try very hard to remember a set of answers without looking at the actual question. Then when you go for exam, you start to have that, like, you off your brain, you don't think, you just go in and you keep writing out what you remembered, which can be very disastrous and very dangerous. Now, I'm going to read through the case with you. So our whole idea is, let's go with this open mind. Of course, I can say that this information will not really point to what's going to come up, because in exam they're going to give you additional exhibit that will give you additional information. So not really very helpful. Okay, so please don't think like if the pre-scene information talk about the risk, then the question must have a risk management question. It's not always like that. Okay, this time the case study is a very interesting business model to me, because I don't play football. So I realized that it's on something like I really find it, I'm handicapped. If you're girls and you enjoy football and you know what's happening in football, you probably won't feel so bad. But if you are like me, who doesn't look at football and doesn't play football, I guess you're gonna have the same feeling like me, like, wow, what's all these things? Okay, now this couple of pages, about 10 of them, okay, so one page for content, they have basically highlighted to you the football industry. They call it a sector. Okay, then later they mention this particular company. They say you can think of it like a company or an entity called AT. Examiners say we're just going to use the word AT to refer to the company. So in exam, you know that AT is this athletic Transcentral. Okay, then they give you the website extracts that talks about their values, their mission, and then they always give in the pre-scene, according to what I've learned, okay, they always give us some kind of financial information, and whether it's useful or not, we don't know. Okay, but they always attach some kind of financial information, which is good for us to think of a trend. Okay, now let's start our reading. Okay, I'm going to try to relate to certain things that we studied in our class. Okay, Athletic Transcentral Football Club is a football club. All right. Now, we will be obviously wondering, when you say a football club, what kind of entity is this? Is this an association? Is this a company? Is this a trust? Is this a charity? You know, obviously people are not very sure, can you say not? So let's read on, because they do provide some insights to what is this athletic Transcentral. They say they play in the football league in Carland. Okay, it's a country in the continent called Russia. All right, the club is owned by Athletic Transcentral Co. and a company. So looks like AT. Although it runs as a club, I can then now understand that it belongs to a company. So the company is called Athletic Transcentral Co. So this club belongs to a company. Okay. Now, so you can now be very safe to know that we are talking about a context of a company. We're not talking about a charity. We're not talking about a public sector, because very clearly you will see as you read on the case that this is a profit-seeking company. Okay, now their sole objective is to operate a football club. So AT Football Club has been successful in the past, winning a number of trophies, but has increasingly struggled to compete with other leading clubs in Carland. So we can see a little bit of history. They already suggested to you that they seems to have a glorious past, but now they are struggling. Okay, now they are struggling. Now, for simplicity, the company and the club will just be called as a single entity, which is AT. That means in your mind, don't start to imagine a club, because you know in real life a club is a different entity. So, but they're just trying to say, don't confuse yourself. Although we call it a club, it's actually a company. So just keep telling yourself, AT is a company. All right. So they give you a bit of information about football. Football in this country called Carland. Carland is in this continent called Russia. Okay. Now, in football, the results of matches are determined by the number of times a team puts the ball into the net of the opposition team. That's goal. Okay, so I think we know what goal means. Kick the ball and goal. Okay, now team wins matches by scoring more goals than their opposition, and draw matches when two teams score an equal number of goals. Football is played by men's, women's, children's team. So they do have women's football also, okay? And children will be under the age of 18. Now, football clubs operate at professional and recreational level. Okay, so look at this, because you got to understand the way how they work. So they have a professional level club and a recreational level club. So obviously you're going to ask, okay, what's the difference? So they say at the professional level, the players are full-time employees of the club. So you have to understand that every players are actually employee. Your job is you're paid to play the game. Okay. So the professional clubs, now they are concentrating on the professional. They're not talking about the recreational. So we're talking about the professional club. Okay. So these professional clubs, most of these clubs run men's, women's first, reserve, which is second, and under 18 teams. The first team includes their best players. The reserve team contains players who can be called on to replace players in the first team, and each team has a manager in charge of it, and each team has a coaching and other support staff. So that's the players, okay, at different level, first team, reserve team, and every team has manager, and then they have a coach and they have support staff. At least we know the whole idea about how the so-called the business operation. Okay, now there are 5 professional clubs in that country. That's what we can see. Okay, they say 5 professional clubs have their own academies. Academies recruit players from the age of 9 upwards and take a structured approach to their football, personal educational development with the ultimate aim of producing the first team player. So players recruited by academies have more time to play and be coached than player in under 18 teams of the clubs without academy. So academies are like the sports schools, the sports schools. They will go and identify talents, and then after that, they will rope them in. Okay, when they rope them in, then they will groom them to be professional players all the way to the first tier, which is what they call as the here they say the first team player. All right. Now I don't know. Okay, will anything about when we talk about our studies, there's human resource management, and there's always things to do with like talent acquisitions or your talent management program. How do we maintain our staff? These are all part of talent management, remember? And how do we get the right people? How do we keep the people? These are all part of human resource management. The only difference is we're looking at a little bit different in the sense like we're talking about players, but actually they're workers, they're workers. All right. Now, and then they go on. First team players have generally moved up from other teams at the same club, or now those who play football, watch football, you should know. Okay, even though I don't play, I also have heard of all these. They've been transferred in from other clubs. That means you can buy player. There's this word which I don't think they use it here in the case study. It's called naturalized player. That means like Malaysia, they want to get a very good football player, but Malaysian generally are not that good, so they don't want to wait too long. They want to improve their experience. So what they do, they go and buy player from other country. Let's say there's a South Korea player very good, so they buy the South Korea player to play with Malaysia and become a Malaysian player. But okay, I just give you an idea how they do it is they need you to be here for a short period of time in order for them to give you Malaysian citizenship. So actually they become Malaysian. Although they're South Korean, but they come here, they become Malaysian. Then they call naturalized player. And think about that. Why would countries do that? Because they believe when you rope in experienced player from other country, it will directly help to improve performance of your existing people because they learn from a better player together. Now, so I would think that diversity has some merits in this case. So I don't know. That's why I say if ever they're going to talk about talent acquisition, I thought you might want to think about that. Okay, so when players are transferred between clubs, there will be a transfer fee payable to the club selling the player by the club buying the player. So one club sell their player, one club buy their player. So transfer fees for the best man player can be very large, which basically says that the good players are very expensive to buy. Okay, so for the most important driver of profitability for professional club is performance of their men's first team. So what drive performance? You better remember this. The profitability of the club is dependent on the performance of the men's first team. That's the most important thing. And they will play in two key competition. One is Thailand Football League, and then they also play with international competition, like World Cup like that. Okay, now Thailand Football League. So now they give us a bit of idea about what is this league. KFL has 3 divisions for the club's men's first team. Each division has 18 teams. The league will last from May to August. Now be particularly careful about timing, because whenever you want to write your answer, in case you want to give a suggestion, I just want to add a note here. Be particular careful about timing. I mean, example, like when you want to highlight certain particular training program, you might need to do it during the time that they are not really playing. You know, that kind of thing. I think we can just exercise some logic to come up with suggestions lah. Okay, now I'm not a player. I don't play football, so I can't be very experienced to tell. I don't think I will want to do a lot of research about football, but if you have some idea, maybe it might be a plus point for you lah. Okay, so the teams will play each other in the league twice every season, once each at each team's stadium. So you know, they all their club usually own the stadium, and when they own stadium, right, how they make money is they will host competition. So it's like my club and your club, we will fight, and when we fight, right, one of the match is in my stadium, the other match is in your stadium. Then people want to enjoy the match, they go and buy tickets. So when they buy tickets, they make money. So I hope you get some idea about their business model. Teams earn 3 points when they win a match, 1 point when they draw, and no points when they lose. Now at the end of each season, 2 teams with the fewest points are relegated from each of Division 1 and 2 of KFL, and they will play in the next division down the following season. Now the 2 teams with the most points are then promoted from each of the Division 2 and 3 of KFL and play in the next division up in the following season. It's a systems of how basically the not so good player will come down, the better team will go up. Now if you, I believe if you don't quite understand this, maybe you can just try and ask your friends who watch football and tell you how does the league works. Okay, now teams can also be relegated downward for a serious breach of regulation, like misconduct. So if you violate certain rules, then they penalize you by bringing your team down. Okay, now team who wins division are then awarded with what? A trophy as well as money. They will get trophy, they'll get money. Teams which are promoted to the next division will benefit from increased sponsorship and income from television. So the whole idea is you just want to be the best lah. The best. So when you go up, you get more advertisement, people are crazy about you, so that's how you would see that your money is going to go up. Okay, so people will, do more sponsorship, more advertisement. Okay, clubs in Division 1, that means the best division, because they have 3 divisions. So when you go up to the best division, the one that you fight at the first level one, they say they have supporters not just in Khao but all over the world. So the people are all crazy about you. Okay, now they tell us about the kind of competition. So domestic cup competition, as well as the league. All the teams in KFL play in a domestic cup competition within Khao. So the league is 1. Okay, league is you play among all the clubs. All right, now they also have a national level, like example like Piala Malaysia. Then all the states will have to send their teams and fight. Okay, so they have a domestic cup competition within Khao, and this consists of rounds of one-off matches between 2 teams randomly drawn against each other. So it's random. Okay, it's random. This kind of league, some people say you might want to look at strategy, like if you don't want to play against another person in the next match, you might want to lose the game, that kind of thing. Like how they say when Malaysia was playing with South Korea, we managed to perform quite well, but a lot of people who watch the match, they say it's not really that we performed that well, but it's partially they also wanted not to, I heard they don't want to get a win so that they will not face a tougher players in the next match. That was what my friend told me. So I said, okay. So I didn't know. I said I thought Malaysia so good. Suddenly he said no, they don't think so. Okay. Now anyway, that is the league. This is just a national competition. All the players will play against each other. Now, then they say that the winner will progress to the next round until the last two teams remain and play the final. Now, then there's also international competition. So again, the top 3 teams in the Division 1, that means the one from the league. The league play until the last 3, the best 3 will be able to play in the Ocean International League. Ocean is the continent. You understand? The continent, okay? So if you don't know what's a continent, must go and Google the word and understand. Go and look at what is the European continent, okay? What is Asia continent? Then you understand what's a continent, okay? Now, so Ocean must have a lot of country, including Thailand, and along with the most successful team from other country that's in Oceania. So playing in Ocean International League means the club can earn even more revenue from having more home games and having their matches in the International League broadcast live on TV. So they can earn even more. So can you imagine in your country, you may have, I don't know, let's say you have 15 clubs. So if you can reach the top 3, you can make even more money. If you are at the bottom, your chance of making money is not so good. Now then they say other teams. The women first team of professional club plays in the Khao Women's Football League, which has 2 divisions with 18 teams in each division, and not all the clubs have women's team. Teams in KWFL also play in the domestic cup competition. Reserve and under 18s have their own competition. So understand, they have just told you the kind of competitions that they are having, okay? So I guess we can more or less start to understand that if you are a club like AT, remember AT is the company that owns the football club lah. If you're a club like AT, you can imagine the things that you need to manage, okay? The managing of all the teams in the different levels of competitions. It's not going to be simple lah, okay? So now they give you the industry body. So who regulates football? They say KFL is governed by Khao Football Association, KFA. KFA enforces the playing and other regulations of KFL. Now, other regulations include financial fair play regulation. They say you can look at page 5. Now, the moment when I look at regulation, I would like to think about things like compliance. And when I would look at things like compliance, obviously I would like to relate to possibility of things like internal controls, risk management, internal audit. I don't know whether they can draw into this or not. And you know, I even was thinking about corruption. Okay, I was even thinking about corruption. Sorry, I shouldn't write here, okay? I was thinking about corruption in the sense like, because you know, I mean, I don't know whether you know lah, but I cannot say that everybody know, but we know that football causes worldwide gambling, betting, football betting, and there's a lot of underground economy. And I always hear that they say these underground people are the people that can go and influence the result of the match. They can use their money and pay corrupted players and managers to intentionally lose a game, that kind of things, okay? So if corruptions can be brought in, you know, maybe to think about in what ways that the corruptions could occur, in what ways that we could prevent corruptions from happening. So what kind of measures that we're going to have? I thought that can just come quite well in a case study like that. Now, I'm not saying it's definitely coming out. I didn't see anything, but I say they can always have an exhibit. But now you still have time before you go exam. At least you just tell yourself, okay, let's give myself some perspective on corruption, okay? We talk about corruptions when we study leadership, then we talk about ethics, then corruptions comes in, okay? And we talk about ways of how companies could implement anti-corruption measures. Okay, now let's go down. KFA recommends clubs follow generally accepted corporate governance best practice. So indirectly, examiner already gave you the clues that whatever you study in corporate governance is applicable. That's what they're trying to say, because they say the club got to follow. So treat the club like a listed company. That's what they say. So don't feel bad about when we want to talk about independent directors, when we talk about setting up nomination committees. Go ahead, because that's exactly what they're saying. Okay. KFA regulation must comply with the requirements of WOSHN and World Football Governing Body. So there's a worldwide one. Okay, so what are their income and expenses? Now they tell you the professional club's main source of income will be from prizes paid by the league based on the position that the teams finish in the division at the end of the season. Teams can also earn prize money from winning matches in the domestic cup, WOSHN International League competition. So they get money from prizes. They get ticket sales. Supporters either pay to attend individual matches or pay for season ticket, allowing them to attend all the matches at the stadiums in a season and give them designated seats. Okay. Match day income, like sales or refreshment, letting out hospitality boxes in which friends and corporate clients can be entertained and given food and drinks before and after the match. Now transfer fee is the one that we say selling of player, the income from the sale of players. Income from advertising and commercial sponsorship. Now advertisers and commercial sponsors can advertise around club stadium. In addition, commercial sponsors can have their company's name shown on their shirts. They can use image of their club's brand or players in their own marketing material. You know, like Milo and then got a football player there. So that kind of thing. Okay, usually it's not Milo lah. Okay. Now some clubs have sole naming rights to commercial sponsor, so that their stadiums and other facilities are named after the sponsor. Just like, MRT. Recently, they say the TRX station MRT is named after Samsung Galaxy. So it's called TRX Samsung Galaxy Station. So they get that kind of advertisement value. They sell you the naming rights. Okay. Now, most contract with commercial sponsors will last them about 2 to 5 years, with contract for naming rights that's generally longer. Okay, let's just go through a lot more about the income first. So they also mention about income from the sales of the club merchandise. Now, club merchandise branded with the club's identity, official replica kits, primarily replica shirts, are in the same colors, have same designs as the club first team wears. The fake kits are imitations of the official replica kits, but do not have official marks which show they are genuine, are sold by unauthorized retailer. So risk problem, fake and imitations are also having a problems in the market. Okay, now clubs are also selling other merchandise, including other clothing, home items, children products, accessory, gifts. They are sold in shops, club shops, retail outlet like major stores in Thailand and foreign countries, and on their website. They do have a website. They do sell things online. That means they are e-commerce enabled. Okay, so I mean, imagine just because they say that, they can now easily draw questions to you about e-commerce, right? Okay, income from hosting events other than football match at stadium. For example, they can have music concert. I mean, they can rent the stadium to you lah. Okay, so hosting event, they can rent the stadiums to you. And then TV broadcast income. The income from a deal with television company in Thailand awarding exclusive rights to broadcast the league and domestic cup matches. clubs received an agreed amount of income each season, plus extra income depending on how often they appear in matches which are televised live. Terms of the TV contracts are negotiated by representative of KFL, and then KFL are bound collectively by the contract. The clubs with men's first team in Division 1 receive much higher income than the clubs at the lower division. Now finally, the TV channel income, they also receive subscription advertising income from running their own TV channel. So I can already see that they have so-called multiple streams or sources of income. You know, what if the questions might be something that involve analysis, financial analysis? Okay, whether where do you think that they could improve their financial performance by looking at which kind of income that they could increase? I really can't be sure, but I thought that this can also possibly be a way of how they could test you. Okay, if they're gonna give you, so I guess they might give you a segmental financial report maybe for this AT and show you so many different income. So please don't get panicked when you see a lot of numbers. So you must go with the heart that I'm prepared to see numbers and see what they're going to do. They might need you to do some kind of analysis. So you might need to do, example, you might need to work out analysis. Like I mean I'm just giving an example. Like maybe you can talk about what is the income per match, you know, that kind of ratio that you might be able to work it out. What kind of income per sponsorship that you're gonna get. Okay, so all these might be necessary. Okay, so what kind of expenses do they have? They say in terms of expenses, they have to pay workers' salary. Workers are their players, managers, the coach, support staff. Remember? Now there's amortization fee. They say the transfer fee for buying players will become capital expenditure on assets. So these fees are capitalized at the fair value of the fees. The capitalized transfer fees are amortized on a straight line over a player's contract. The P&L on disposal is calculated based on the difference of the proceeds and carrying amount. Okay, do you understand what it says? Now let's say for example, XX club has this player called Mr. A, and then AT club wants to buy Mr. A over. So you're paying, let's say, 1 million transfer fee. So this transfer fee is the one that you are going to amortize, because when you buy back, what you're going to do with this cost, you're going to capitalize it, you're going to amortize it according to the contract period. So if this guy is going to be with you for the next 20 years or next 10 years, now of course it won't be so long. No players can play so long because you get old. Once you're old, you're not that good, right? Okay. The other costs like stadium and facilities, they say these are property running costs, depreciation, the match days costs, like the catering, the securities, the TV channel costs. You want to run TV channel, right? You must produce all the things that you have so that the TV channel can operate, and even finance costs. So if you need to borrow money, there'll be finance costs. Now, just now we saw they say there's regulation here. They say they're governed by KFA, and then they do have regulations, and there are another regulations called financial fair play regulation, which is what I'm going to go through with you now. What is this financial fair play regulations? Now, financial fair play regulations are designed to stop professional players to spend more money than they earn trying to achieve success. So they will stop them from getting into financial difficulties which can jeopardize their existence. Now, you see, we talk about election. If me and another politicians go for general election, if I spend 1 million for my campaign and he spent 30 million for his campaign, it's very unfair to me because the amount of money that he is spending already put me at disadvantage. You get what I mean? So the same manner that they are saying, all these football clubs also need to ensure that there is a fair play. If your club spend too much money than other clubs, naturally you can be better. You have better advantage. That's why they set a rule that you're not supposed to do that. Okay? Now, they say that this financial fair play regulation is based on these things called relevant earning. And they say they are not identical to accounting profit. So don't mix up with your accounting profit. Okay? The relevant earnings are actually derived by this formula. They take the relevant income minus the relevant expenses. That's what they call relevant earning. So relevant income are those income that we see just now. The prize money, the ticket sales, the TV revenue, advertising, merchandise, all these blah blah blah. I'll leave you to read through. Now, the relevant expenses are also those expenses that we saw just now. The salary, amortization, loss on the sales of the player, the finance cost, they even include dividend. Okay? So this regulation allows every club to have relevant expenses exceeding their income. That means you're allowed to spend more than your income. Okay? But only up to a maximum of 5 million, and they are based on 3-year period. Okay, so they give an example. The relevant earning rules are introduced in year 0. Considerations of whether they have breached, therefore, will start in year 3, at the end of the first 3-year period. Now, I show you how it works. Now, this is the relevant earning. So this relevant earning is the net. Is the net when you take your income minus your expense. That's your relevant earning. So the first year you earn 25. Okay? Second year you lose because you spend more money. Okay? You get less income. Third year you earn 17. So the net of each year in the 3-year, because they based on the 3-year period. So this 3-year period, if you add up together, you realize that the figure becomes 22. How do I get 22? 25 minus 20 plus 17 is 22. So this period that they have year 1 to year 3 is 22. Okay? So do they breach? No. Because you will not breach as long as the figure is positive. You only breach when the figure is negative because you spend more than you earn. Can you see or not? Now, there will be no breach if it's a positive. You will breach if it's a negative more than 5 million. Because if you spend more than 5 million, you overspend. That's the whole idea. Okay? Okay, then how do they get the next 3 year? Now, the next 3 year is on a rolling basis, That means they are rolling by taking year 2, year 3, and year 4. Now, that's why you see, minus 20 plus 17 and minus 1 should be minus 4, right? Now, is minus 4 a problem? No, because you got to be more than 5 to be a problem. Now, that's why for this 3-year period between year 2 to year 4, you don't have a breach. So now I guess you know how to read this table. So year 3, year 4, and year 5. Now if you see 17 minus 1 minus 2, so you get 14. So again, as long as you're positive, you don't have a problem. Now, then finally, they're giving you year 4, year 5, year 6. Now, year 4 is negative, year 5 negative, year 6 also negative. If you add up negative 7, you got a problem already. Because once you're more than negative 5, you're going to have a problem. Now, that's why, did you breach the regulation? Yes. So, what happened if you breach the regulation? Now, when I look at this, right, I am thinking maybe you might be asked to look at how AT manages its FFPR's risk exposure. That means they probably might ask you to look at the figure, and then maybe there's a risk that they might breach the negative 5. And if they're going to break the negative 5, they're going to be in trouble. So you will then have to be proactive to tell them, let's do something. And obviously one of the things we can do is either we increase the income or we reduce the expense. And because it's based on 3 year, you know, there's some kind of strategies that maybe you want to manipulate a bit, like recognize the expense later on, or make the income comes earlier, that kind of thing. So what will happen if there's a breach? They tell me that there'll be penalties for breachings, like fines, losing point, and you know, if you lose point, you drop below the league, and when you drop below, you cannot go to WOSHA. So that means generally your income earning capability will all go down. You will lose your prize money. You may not be allowed to compete in the domestic cup or WOSHA International League, and relegation to the lower division. I mean, they will demote you, so you go down. Okay, if this is a serious breach, maybe if the amount was so huge, instead of -5, -7, become -30. Wow, then they probably will be a serious breach. Then they'll push you down. Okay, now media coverage. Many games in Division 1 are broadcast live on TV. There is considerable coverage of clubs in Division 1 in Carland newspapers and social media. In order to increase newspaper sales, journalists are very keen to obtain exclusive story that not yet covered by other newspaper about the clubs or the player. Now, and this tells me one thing. Example, like, do you see a potential opportunity to work with the media? And actually another thing is, imagine if the journalist is going to dig out secrets, and to 80, again, this is a risk, you know. If there's some very example, very shameful scandal going on, and journalists are paying money to be, you know, your club got so many people, you know, how can you be sure that these kind of secrets will not leak out? Think about that. So there seems to be quite a lot of things that examiner can really brought in to the questions. Okay, right, now they tell you about the industry challenge. They say the main challenge the clubs face is their men's team to be successful. So, I mean, obviously, right, there's so many teams, there's only one champion, okay? Now, this means consistently achieving high league positions, performing well in the competition, the domestic competition, so that they can qualify for and hopefully do well in the WOSHA International League. To achieve success, the club makes significant expenditure in buying the best player. See, they pay a lot of transfer fee to buy the best player over, and they also pay very high salary to the players in demand. Now, you know, this further explains to me about the problems that I might face in retention. How do I keep the talents with me? Because at the end of the day, maybe the players are just for money. They just cross over. I'm not sure. Okay. Now they say that clubs can have difficulties ensuring their income is greater than their expenses. So the operating profits of the number of leading clubs have fallen. And the key reason is because of the increasing costs connected with players. So they seem to pay a lot to make sure they get the best player, and then they cannot cover their income. Okay, so I do see there are some kind of financial evaluations involved lah. Okay, there seems to be some kind of financial evaluation. Now they gave us the risks and threats that they are faced by the clubs. Loss of income because of poor performance, and then after that, you know, when you're lousy, you lose supporters, you get less money, so it just keep going down. Okay, competition from other clubs for money, for supporters, so it's just the opposite of this. And then they will recruit the best players, they recruit the best managers, the best staff. Problems with commercial sponsors leading to non-renewal of contracts, so sponsors withdrawing. Example, ethics. Some sponsors are not very happy. You know, there are players that they do funny thing. Coca-Cola sponsor the match. So what they do, they just want to, imagine this is a Coca-Cola bottle. They just want to put one can of Coca-Cola on the table where they're doing press conference. And I remember there are incident like the player took the Coca-Cola and put it down under the table and replace it with water. What does that mean? That could be a personal endorsement, like the player is trying to say, I think Coke is bad, so you should drink. But you know, Coke is a sponsor, you know, that means you're actually doing something that's actually killing off your sponsor. So all that could potentially be a problem. Departure of key players or management or coaching staff to other staff, to other clubs, loss of key players because of injury, fall of income from TV contract because of decreasing appeal of the football and impact of illegal live streaming. So you even suffer risk that illegal streaming comes. Threats to income from other business seeking sponsorship, other sports, you know, maybe not everybody is with football. Some maybe go to badminton, so they go and sponsor badminton. Okay, incurring punishment for breaching the financial fair play regulation. That's one that I thought potentially. I mean, they write so much about that. You know, I think in exam, it will be so strange to not test something about this financial fair play. So I guess one of those things is the financial evaluation and the risk management. The damage to the club brand, negative media coverage for personal life of the player, and to me this wow goes so well, man. Okay, and how do you protect that? Because it's going to be a major risk in your company. Okay, the health and safety risk, the security risk because of poor behaviors by supporters, financial risk like interest rate, exchange, liquidity, and solvency. And now they tell you stakeholders. Internal stakeholders of the football clubs are obviously the shareholders, the directors, the players, the managers, the coach, and employees. Now, other key stakeholders will include their supporters, the retail customers, the TV broadcaster, the sponsors, the merchandise suppliers, the police, the emergency services, KFL and KFA. Now, when I look at these, obviously I would always like to think about questions concerning stakeholders. And of course, every time when we want to look at stakeholders, we will like to look at things like Mandela assessment to assess your stakeholders' influence, whether they are powerful or not, whether their interest is high or not, and the kind of strategies that you're going to deal with the stakeholder. You can even look at things concerning corporate citizenship. That means, do you want to do something that is aligned with the interests of certain stakeholders? And if you remember, this can be things like, for example, social responsibilities. Okay, so who are the leading teams in Carland? So they say there are 8 leading teams that's in Division 1. And this is the last season, X2 and X3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are the last, man. So I believe they might give you questions that you are in financial deep shit. You might be in a very bad financial situation. That's why the questions needs you maybe as a consultant or maybe as some kind of managers or support or assistance to the CFO to help them how they can get out from this problem. Okay, so far you are the last, but you are the last in the latest year, but you were not the last in the latest year. I mean, you're getting worse and worse. That's really a big problem. So you're getting worse and worse. Now, some teams are remaining very well, like Maritime is consistent. So the first few players are consistent, but you seem to be quite bad. You've been dropping. Okay, you have the smallest stadium. You earn the lowest compared to here. Okay, you earn the lowest. All right. Now the club with 3 teams in Division 1 in the 20X2, X3 season have all moved to new stadium. No wonder their stadium size so big. They are like close to double. And this stadium offers better facilities for supporters. They've increased capacities. The clubs have built new stadiums, have also increased their income from hiring out facilities to non-football events. The new stadiums have been built to maximize energy usage efficiency and reduction of carbon footprint. So indirectly, they also start to bring in environmental concerns to you. So your ESG issue, right? The environmental footprint, which can be a very major considerations for the Western people, okay? Right, innovation and sustainability. All the clubs are trying to use digital media strategies to enhance their income and the interest in them. So do remember, because they said digital media, so you do have to ask yourself about things concerning digital marketing, okay? Digital marketing, and do remember the 6 I's model also in terms of like how the digital approach can be very different, okay? So things like that, you might have to just read up a little bit lah, just to remember lah, okay? Now the clubs use up their own websites, the social media to post news about themselves, the players and other informations of interest to supporters. Now the clubs with the 4 top teams in Division 1 have their own television channels, and supporters actually pay subscriptions to watch their channels. Now these channels are available on their websites, and there are other popular platforms. What are the KPI? We look at revenue, player salary, earnings before interest and tax, EBITDA, the relevant earnings for financial fair play. That means the 5 million deficit is a very important thing to measure. Their cash flows, their sales and purchases of players, the KPIs. Non-financial, they will look at things like league positions, the match attendance over their stadium capacity. So if your capacity, I mean, if you only have 80%, that means you only have 80% full. Now, how about the 20% empty seats? Is there anything we can do to increase the sales? Number of season tickets holder. Season tickets are those that they pay more so that they can come for every season. So that if you buy individual ticket, it's of course more expensive lah. But if you buy like that, it means more income, more certainty to the club. Just like, if you go to theme park, you can buy those the day pass. You can also buy annual pass, okay? And they also measure their website hit. That means they do look at data analytics. And if you remember, we talked about SEO before, search engine optimizations, which is part and parcel of digital marketing. How people will be more aware of you, how they will want to come to look at your websites, okay? How you want to use different digital marketing approach, like, for example, sponsored links, advertisements, all that, okay? Now, compliance with applicable regulations. So these are all the KPIs. So now we come to AT. AT is the company that we are looking at. So far, we only look at the football industry, okay? Now, AT was founded in 1895. So it's a very long year. I mean, honestly, if you ask me, it's very funny because here they use X. Here they use 1895. So X is what? X is 20, 0 or 21 or 22. That's the problem lah. Okay, so I guess they shouldn't. If they want to write 1895, they should have just write 2000. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's like trying to tell you it's like very old club lah. Okay. The men first team has played in KFL since 1907. The Athletic Transcentral Co. was set up in 1895 with the sole objective to operate the club. The Klikombi, I hope I pronounce it correctly, it's all the funny spelling, okay? Family has a controlling interest, so these are the people that has controlling interest in AT for many years. and they are not listed. They're not listed, okay? They say, but for simplicity, this company and the club will be a single entity called AT. Just remember AT, okay? Now, AT traditional colors are white shirts, black sleeve, black shorts, and socks. Will they test you culture? Because culture, when you talk about this cultural web, then this is obviously something concerning symbol. Winning is to do with your story, correct? Not? So do remember the model, SRC 321. Okay, AT has men's and women's first, reserve, and under 18. The men first team has been in the top division for the last 60 years and has won Division 1 6 times and domestic cup competition 5 times. The success, these are like story to me. The success over the years has meant it has built a strong base of supporters. However, the team has not won the Division 1 title, Domestic Cup, for the last 15 years. Has not qualified for the Woshan International League for the last 8 years. So they are not doing well now, okay? The women first team was established 25 years ago and now plays in Division 1. It finished 3rd in Division 1 the last season, its highest ever position, and also has won the Women's Domestic Cup competition and attracts an average attendance per game of around 3,000. You know, if you look at BCG, Boston Consulting Group Matrix, we will like to analyze our product portfolio, and then we like to say this is a dog, this is a star. So it appears to me the women's team is uprising, okay, while the men is actually going down, okay. The reserve and under 18 play their own competition. They generally attract attendance per game of less than 1,000. So it's like they're saying, while we are not so good with the men, do you want to try a strategies of like focusing with the women, you know? So I don't know, but I thought that can just be another issues that they can talk off when they go into strategy question, BCG. If it's a dog, if it's a question mark, if it's a star, and then how you want to invest your money to build up your market share, it's all there. Okay, the board structures. So there's a chairman, there's 2 non-executive directors, there's CEO, and the rest are all the football directors, finance director, marketing director, commercial director, admin director. The board is assisted by the co-sec, who is not a director. One of the member of this Klipkombi family, I really hope I pronounce it right, Klipkom, okay, doesn't matter, alright, is the chief executive. But no other member of the family is on the board or actively involved in the management. Just one is now the CEO. Okay? So that there's a legacy, the ownership legacy. Okay? 5 functional directors reflects the 5 business function that AT is being organized into. So there's football. They oversee all the teams, 125 players, 130 coach, technical staff. The football director is also responsible for their transfer policy. The managers report to directors, so there's the structures. Finance is the financial control and reporting and oversights of the finance function. Marketing and IT, it's on the marketing and digital media and also oversee the IT manager and the staff. Commercial is to do with sponsors, suppliers, retail, merchandising. Admin is to take care of stadiums, facilities, maintenance of employees and other records. Every function is responsible for recruiting and appraising their own staff. Now, they do their own appraising. Okay, so they say, for example, the first team players being appraised by the team manager. So the football is all the football. So the finance will all be finance. So they will not have appraisal by the other one. Okay. And how good is this kind of appraisal? We do have to spend some time to evaluate that. Now the board has one committee, which is the audit committee. So what about at least nomination and remuneration? What about that? And if you don't have a nomination, would there be a suggestions about why things like appraisal was not very systematically planned out? Okay, the committee is staffed by 2 non-executive directors. The committee's main responsibilities are reviewing financial statement, accounting, financial internal control, and liaise with external auditors. So it's very minimal lah. Now if you remember the role of AC, we discussed before in our study, I gave you a mnemonic called ARIF. There are 5 areas that they will take care of. Okay, so audit is internal, external audit, risk management, internal control, financial reporting. Okay, information system. AT's internal information systems are adequate for its purpose. They hold data, which include name, contact, financial detail about season ticket holders, customers buying official replica kits online. Marketing and IT directors believe maintenance of data is currently in accordance with the data protection legislation. They have a website, they have their own apps. It has accounts on the longest established social media platform. Stadium. Their stadium was 90 years ago. Whoa, very old, huh? Okay, and located in the center of the city of Frenia. While no other Division 1 teams play in the city of Frenia, 3 other Division 1 teams are based within 40 kilometers from AT stadiums. The average attendance for their Division 1 match was 96.5%, compared to the average Division 1, which is 96.3. So 96.5 is considered to be full capacity. So it's like you damn good at it. Okay. The stadium has limited car parking facilities. There's a traffic congestion in the local area on match day. And the streets near the stadium become crowded, noisy, when supporters make their way to and from the stadium, and they annoy the local resident. Stakeholder, I can see stakeholders is definitely one of those good things that examiner can ask you to evaluate. All right, example, decision to I really guess only here. Please, I don't know what's going to come out. If it comes out, we're just simply fortunate. Okay, if it doesn't come out, please remember I'm just guessing. Like decision to relocate to a new stadium, or to refurbish the existing stadium. These kind of questions, they could ask you to do a critical evaluation. That means they ask you to talk about the pros and the cons. Okay, the pros and the cons. Now the stadium is served by a frequent bus service. There are 2 train stations within a regular train service within 2 kilometers of the stadium. It's not very far. It's okay. Okay, don't compare with Malaysia. Malaysian don't walk one. To them 500 meter is like killing them already, but 2 kilometers is not that bad lah, huh? Okay. Maintenance expenditure on the stadium has increased significantly over the last 10 years because of its age, increasing strict health and safety requirement. So imagine if they ask you decision about whether to go for a new place or refurbish. This could be points for you. Stadium has refreshment outlets for which there are sometimes long queues. There are about 30 hospitality boxes for corporate clients, and these facilities at the stadiums are currently not sufficient for AT to consider hosting other sports event or concert. So people will not even want to come. You know, I really start to feel like, they give you a lot of points that can fit very well questions about evaluating decisions to relocate stadium. And then you just got to give the pros and cons. Or they might ask you to use the SAF model. Remember the SAF model? Okay, the suitability, acceptability, and the feasibility model. We talked about that during the revision, so if you've forgotten, you know, just no harm to just go back and have a look at it, okay? AT operates a small shop at the stadium. AT owns the land on which the stadium is built and land which is adjacent to the stadium, and this adjacent land is leased to Frina City Council. Okay, training facilities. 30 years ago, AT moved its training facilities to a site 14 km. Wow, 14 km. So again, it's a short distance, but it's still something for you to travel. So if again they are talking about moving my stadium, maybe, you know, getting nearer to the training facilities might be a good idea. Okay. The training facilities were upgraded 5 years ago. They upgraded some more. So if you want to move to a place far from the training facilities, sounds a bit stupid to me, right? As a result, are regarded as some of the best training facility. And the first and reserve teams always train at these facilities. But under 18 sometimes have to use facilities nearby which AT hires. So why can't the under 18 train there? Is it because of their scheduling problem or what? It's a cost to you. You have your own facilities, but you're not using it. Okay. Commercial activities. AT has a number of commercial sponsors, with no sponsors being regarded as a lead sponsor. Sponsor agreements cover AT kit advertising with the stadium, use of AT's brands and players' identities. AT has not sold any naming rights to the stadium and other facility. Would that be an opportunity? If you do have financial problems that they ask you to evaluate, you can think about that. Okay, think about the ways of generating income. AT sell official replica kits directly to supporters. The replicas are trademarked by AT, and AT guarantees product quality. 3 suppliers supply ATs directly with both the kits for players and the official replica kits which AT sells to supporter. Right, the club shop at AT Stadium sell official replica kits and limited range of other clothing and accessory. Official replica kits is currently only products which can be ordered online. They also licenses productions of this official replica kit to other suppliers to enhance its visibility in the markets worldwide, and these products are sold in other retailers' outlet. AT expects suppliers to treat employee. Okay, so again, there are some values. Okay, and this may be an issue for me to think about when I want to evaluate my suppliers. So AT website extract. Now we are coming to almost the last 2 points already. They give you the website. They say this is our mission and our value. Maintain position as one of the leading club. So their mission is not very aggressive. They could have said be the best club rather than leading club. Okay, so it's like you are so humble and you just want to tell us it's okay, you know, we just want to be the few in the top. We don't have to be the top. That's what they say. What are the values? So they value transparency, open and balanced picture of its situations, be honest about challenges it faces. So if you see, whenever you have values, values will always guide your decision. Okay, guide your decision. So example, like whenever you need to, let's say, negotiate with your stakeholders, you must put in the values together and ask yourself, which values are you upholding? Will your decision go against your value? Because any decision that goes against the value should not even be contemplated. You cannot go against what you believe, you see. So you preach and you do it, okay? They have values concerning players' conduct. They say players must meet higher standards of commitment, sportsmanship, integrity in their relationship. So no scandals. Don't go and eat drugs to boost your performance. That kind of things is very common, okay? Safeguarding, responsibilities to protect welfare of the young players, and then commits to practices which protects them. Again, it relates to human resource management because the young players are your talents. Stakeholders, aim of its principal stakeholders is based on principles of fairness and honesty. So that's what they've been saying. That's why they also expect suppliers to be the same. Community, believe that they should be a vital part of the community, committed to make positive impacts. And to me, just be careful if you are ever asked to do a critical evaluation. It's like example, do you think having a stadium at the city center is a good idea? Okay, so you will do a critical evaluation. You say it's good because blah blah blah. Okay, but at the same time, there are potential drawbacks due to blah blah blah. So obviously, then when you start to talk about potential drawbacks, then you have to say things like, we believe in the values of communities that have positive impact, but then you're creating a lot of disturbances that annoys and frustrates the people because of the traffic jam and stuff like that. Now that can make a good example of questions like that. And something on environment. Reduction of AT's environmental footprint is at the central part of their strategy. So guys, I think we have already seen things like newer stadiums are more environmental friendly. I really thought that it's so easy for them to test the questions about moving to a new stadium, old stadium, then got problem, got plus point. If you do have that, please draw all these points together. Then you have an opportunity to rethink about your environmental footprint, because you have new stadium. Maybe the stadiums can operate on certain kind of environmental model and stuff like that. Okay, now AT will do utmost to avoid adverse impact on the natural environment. And now we are coming to the last one, which is the financial information. So they say that AT has an accounting year end of 31st May. They publish the annual report, which gives information required by legislation, like director's report, financial information. They also cover strategies, teams' performance, relationships with supporters and communities initiative. I don't know whether would they want to draw in questions on integrated report with 6 capitals or not, because you got so many different capitals, right? Manufactured capitals, your stadium, the human capital, the players, then your social relationship, which is your branding, your trust. There's so many things they can draw your knowledge to see whether you know what you're talking about. Okay, anyway, overall is they give you the last couple of years. They say, okay, their revenue seems to be going up while performings are dropping. But this, if you compare to yourself, if you compare to the top players, the top clubs, you are way down. You see? Did I just skip to the wrong? Yeah, see? Compare, you're way down. So even though you are increasing, you are still so lousy. Okay, you're so far behind. And see, they give you the breakdown, the pie chart of all these things. No point go and calculate the percentage now, because you can't remember it in the exam. But you can tell yourself, if there is a need, we could at least do a simple analysis when we go for the exam. Now let's see. 64, 52, 127, 64 plus 35 is 342. which is here, 342. And you can already give yourself an idea that the biggest chunk of your money is from TV. 127 out of 342 is about like 37%. So when you go exam, you can start giving yourself like, okay, if I need to do analysis, this is something that I could zoom in. I can calculate the pie chart to work out where can you make more money. Now your prize money is low because you're not winning. So if I can win better, that my sponsorship might go up, everything might go up. Okay, now my stadium is already at full capacity. So if you are thinking of getting more sales from ticket, is very unlikely unless you change and move to a bigger stadium. Match day revenue includes the receipts from sale tickets, refreshment, match program, and you could see that your match day is falling. Sorry, this is EBITDA. So your match day is only 64, okay, which include all that, which obviously has to be falling. It does not include income from the club shop, and now the EBITDA is dropping. The earning relevant for FFPR. This is the relevant earning. So, I mean, 60 plus 40 plus, I guess that's 20, is actually 120. It's still okay, you know. Okay, it's okay, but I don't know why they are all positive. They don't have negative one. If let's say you're gonna have future with a lot of investment, and you will come to a big negative, you gotta be careful, because remember, once the 3 year add together is negative 5 million, you will breach the regulation. Then you will be in trouble. Okay. Okay, so these are the analysis of this case study that I have run through with you, and I have shared some of those things that they could draw in. Okay, now I don't intend to tips, because I know it won't work that way. Okay, so let's just not give you a false hope, but whatever I think that can be possibly tested quite conveniently from the thing I have explained it to you. Now this session is recorded, so if you think you want to just listen it all over again, you can just go back to your portal. I'm going to put it up there. You could just listen it again at a faster speed, like times 2, or times 2 times 1.5. You could do it again like 1 day before exam, 2 days before exam, to listen 2 or 3 times just to familiarize with what is inside. So remember, my objective is to walk through with you, okay, and I hope that helps you to pass exam. Okay, and somehow the last results was very encouraging. In December, the students that we went through, they all passed their paper, so I am quite delighted. So I pray the same will apply to all of you. Okay, so for those of you who are going for March exam, these are the last final lap. Put in your last effort and do well and pass. So I hope after you finish the exam, you can send me a message personally or in the group. Just tell me like what's coming out. Can I? Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. That's the end of this walkthrough.